Tagalisogwek, Kalananios, and Yungyats. My name is Melinda Danforth. I'm an Oneida Nation tribal member, and I was asked to be a guest speaker for this Two Spirit event, and I'm really honored to be here to speak about this issue. It's my first public speaking on the Two Spirit issue, and really just wanted to give my insights about how I am connected to the LGBTQ community, the Two Spirit community here locally. My son, Everett, he has come out and has identified as gay. And really, that is really the mechanism that kind of connects us to that Two Spirit community. We've been on our ups and downs. It's been very, very challenging for the both of us because we both know that we love each other very much. And no matter what, we know that the acceptance part of it was really struggle for him because he felt like his family may not have accepted him. So coming out and telling us was very, very hard on him. And I actually asked him about what he wanted me to speak about. And he said that one of the largest challenges for him was wondering if his family was going to accept him. And so from that perspective, it really bothered him for a long time. And his challenges really lied in the behavioral health, mental health area. And unfortunately, he ended up going to Willow Creek a few times. And that is where he really gained the strength and felt safe and felt like he could talk with us about it because he thought, yes, my mom loves me. Yes, my mom's done everything for me for my life. You know, my parents, his stepdad, his grandpa and grandma, everybody's been there for him and they love him to death. But he was really fearful that everybody would reject him, that he wouldn't have a place to stay. You know, he was researching online some of the good things that happened and some of the not so great things that happened. And really, he really kind of lashed himself onto that fear factor. So it really was in that setting that he felt that he could finally be safe. And we knew that he was struggling and we thought it was suicide at first, but it actually was because he was struggling internally with himself about being gay and coming out and being accepted, not just by his family, but by his peers. You know, when he was there and he let us know, we made this poster and it says, no matter what. And that's kind of the motto that we've been living by with him is no matter what, we love you. However, you're going to accept who you are and however you're going to express that. You know, I think the hard part too is trying to balance him being a teenager versus self-expression because, you know, I think everybody says, you know, I'm not going to let my daughter wear makeup until they're 16, you know, or, you know, there's certain parameters about the type of clothing they wear at what age and stuff. So that's kind of been a really hard balance too, from a self-expression standpoint, because I want him to express himself, but I also want him to express himself in a very healthy way and age appropriate way. So, but our largest challenge at this point is really understanding one another and the perspectives that would come from. I'm really cautious because I don't know the language and the Two Spirit community, the LGBT community. I feel like I'm not sure. I'm always questioning whether I said the right thing or if I offended somebody. And that has really been very difficult. The resources locally, I'm glad the Oneida Nation has the support group. But the resources locally were a little frustrating because the age groups for participation in some of the groups like in Appleton and the Green Bay area were limited by age because they didn't want, you know, young kids interacting with adults and just I'm sure for protection, safety concerns. And so there wasn't really anything for him at, you know, the age of 12 and 13 years old. So that type of resource, we just, you know, really try to learn together, do a lot of research online together, trying to understand him, talk with him about it, be open about it, give him create a safe place for him to be able to approach us and talk to us about his feelings, even to the point where at times he feels offended by maybe something we said. I feel like he is at a point where he now can come out and say, well, I didn't really feel great about what you said. And this is why, and then kind of got our point of view too. I think the generational differences that have how I grew up and how my dad even grew up, those generational differences of acceptance have really come into play. um, it has been very tough. I'm not gonna, hide that at all, because it's really been a struggle to try to understand how to proceed from here. And I'm grateful that, Oneida, like I said, has a support group. The University of Wisconsin Green Bay has a Pride camp. And so this year he'll be going again. This will be his second time going. And then his uncle, DJ, allowed him to come to Canada and go to a Pride camp when he was, I think, 12 years old. He went to the Pride camp in Canada. And that is where he really kind of gained that, like, okay, this is who I am. I'm accepting myself. And you know what? If people don't accept me for who I am, I'm okay with that. But I need to figure out how to express that in a good way instead of being upset or angry at somebody for maybe teasing or teasing in a different light, and not really understanding that he's gay, because he's a big kid, and very tall and big. So there's some type of stereotypes about men and women, and it just seems like he's very sensitive to that. So struggling. I know that I have a few parents have reached out and said, what do you do in these situations when your child just comes out, and I just said, love them. All you can do is love them. Ask them, what, how you can help to understand what resources do they need. Make sure that their mental health is okay. Make sure that they don't get into a position where they're not feeling heard. So although some people have stereotypes about counseling and seeking out counseling, Everett has really taken to Oneida behavioral health and seeing a counselor there and being able to, confide in the counselor as to how he feels or running into issues, and that person is able to help him, turn that into a positive and try to figure out how to address that situation in a healthy way. So, going through the struggles. I mean, every parent goes through struggles, even as teenagers, and even if you're not a part of the two-spirited community, we all go through those times. And I mean, compounded by hormones and just body changing and all of that. It's been challenging, to say the least. But at the end of the day, I think it's just, he knows that we love him. He knows that we're trying to understand. He knows that we're doing our research. He knows that we're trying to get him participating in programs that he can accept and be a part of. And so I think that from a futuristic perspective, like, what can the community, or what can Oneida or the local community here do? I think it's really creating that safe place for the two-spirited community to have that support system whereby they can feel that, they can come, identify, come out and let their family know, this is what I identify. And then really then providing those resources on, what to do from there, because a lot of parents just stop and, like, that's it, everything is normal. I'm going to go back to exactly what I was doing before. And that's kind of what I did at first, was kind of like, okay, and then we did some celebration, and then we kind of, but then we went through some very hard times and we kind of ignored it. Right. And then, but then we had to recognize that this isn't going well, because behaviors changed and relationships had changed. And the relationship that I had with my son before was very, very close. And then it got a little rocky. And now I feel like we're back on track after, discussing and being able to help each other understand our points of view. So, like I said, just kind of having that place where creating that safe place for our kids to be able to, or even adults to be able to come and face their family, their friends, their peers, and understand, build self-esteem is a huge issue that I saw with Everett. The other thing was resources. We struggle with resources, as I said, trying to find an age appropriate type of a venue for him until we found, Byron, your program. And so those type of resources would be great. And then just a celebration. I know that the city of Green Bay has a celebration that they're a pride event that they try to do in conjunction with some organizers and volunteers every year, but that kind of got put on hold the last couple of years. And I think that that's a really good event to hold to try to maybe mimic for the Native American community, specifically because I know that there are different challenges and very unique issues that arise with our children and our adults coming and being a part of the Two-Spirited community. But I'll tell you, it is unique. It's very, I looked at it as a sacred thing, a spiritual gift that he was given to have that male spirit and that female spirit, and being able to see both sides of the coin from his perspective, and accepted it as a blessing. I think that just the realities and the generational ideas or stereotypes and concepts have really kind of hindered a lot of progress, but then also has helped us to understand and be more accepting. So that is what I feel, that like the future of the community, if we can have something better, I think it's that safe place for our Two-Spirited community. Just not even just to tell their family or to tell their peers, but more so to have that support and be able to interact and socialize, feel free around how healthy self-expression looks like. Yonko.
Yeah, Yonko, for sharing your story.